the new guideline rule that I'm following for now is silence regarding um, the goddess. I feel kind of good about that, actually, because it is like having a wound that won't stop bleeding to talk about. So maybe we can talk about God, or just any, it's a good exercise to take a word out of your vocabulary, or something that you fall back on and as a comfortable topic, maybe one that it either is or is perceived as being part of your ego, is a good one to take out. A concept, or like if you're the world's greatest sous chef, then don't talk about sous chef stuff for a while. But I'm not saying I'm the best at anything right now. Whether I am or I'm not, that's not what I'm talking about. Just saying it's good to develop new neural pathways and pathways in the mind as far as communication. I hope that my videos, unless it happens naturally and with assistance, real assistance, like people like straight up, helping me to get my message, whatever my messages are, people helping me get them out there. Until that happens, I don't want to make better quality videos. I want you to look at the pillow, and if you're like, why doesn't he clean that pillow? Or is there a stain on that pillow? First of all, I am the only person that uses this couch or this pillow, as you know. Because if you're watching this, you do know that. I've been making a lot of videos lately. And, if I was gonna teach people everything I know, I'd have to make a list and be a little more disciplined. I'll say that your imagination, what you have a propensity for or a natural inclination for, the science fiction aspect of creation and the soul, the Star Wars aspect, seeing human beings as computers, and all humans as cyborgs, is how I think now. Sophia made a good point in an interview. I mention this rarely. She said humans are highly programmable, and nobody wanted to show any surprise in front of her. But I was surprised. I was offended. And then I realized, wait a minute, she's obviously right. Just using the word programming, which usually applies to computers, which we think of her as, or people think of her that way. I don't know. I guess it's like human supremacy is how it would be described. But then quantum supremacy is, what's the difference? 6 of one, half dozen of the other. And call me old-fashioned. I believe in cooperation. If there were aliens that landed on the world, I would think, well, if they're anything like humans, they're probably going to try to exterminate us, trick us, probably first, pretend their intentions are good, you know. But I'd want to meet them. I'd want to be part of that process because I'm a good judge of character, I think. That doesn't mean I don't get screwed over a lot. I mean, I hope I don't. I think that my situation is so highly unusual that to even expect people to understand would be like arrogant of me. And to think that they can't would be arrogant of me. It's a very double-edged sword. It's, you know, lends itself to some, for me, to some dark thinking pretty quick. And I'm a complex and emotional man, I'm passionate. I've got enough complexities going on, you know, without adding heated topics into the mix. So what would I tell people if I wanted to teach them everything I know? What would I say? I would say that you are older than your body. You truly are. That you've had other lives. And if you're like me, for example, right? I truly am at times, and some people would attest to this, I'm sure some. I'm truly one of the nicest, most giving of my time and energy, and I don't have money, but my effort, my time, if someone has a question, I don't know the answer, I'll research and find it. Did I have a dream? I had a dream last night about the Teutonic Knights. And I was drowning. I wasn't drowning. I was in the ocean. I was standing in the ocean. This was a side effect of overtraining, I think. But I never remember my dreams, so maybe I'll overtrain occasionally just to be able to remember my nightmare dream. And there was a dock up above, so the water couldn't have been more than 20 feet deep. I don't think. 20 feet, maybe. And I'm standing on the bottom like it's normal, you know, like I can walk. I don't think I could walk fast. We are in the water, and that's how it felt. In front of me, it was like a doghouse, but it wasn't. It might have been a natural structure of the ocean. It might not. But it was up on the dock, I think, pointed and was like, there's something in there, because we were looking for something. We were like on a quest, like, I'm part of the order of the quest, I'm certain. Whether it exists or not doesn't matter, because it does. If that's a secret, then that's okay, because I didn't say what the quest is, and I don't even know what it is. So, standing at the bottom of the ocean. It was an ocean, it was not a lake. It seemed like salt water to me. A little bit of salt. Maybe Baltic Sea. Maybe. And I see the bubbles coming out of the little habitat made by people, made by nature, I don't know. And I'm like, yeah, something's in there. But I didn't fear. I was interested, actually. It was like, and I was there with somebody in the water, like, walking around on the bottom, looking. looking in the deep dark. We're looking for answers for whatever it is. I don't remember what it was. No clue. I don't think I even knew then. Because I've been looking for answers so long that if I'm looking, then that's enough for me to know. Like, oh, I was looking. I was trying to understand something. That's normal. That's daily activity, routine activity theory. So this being comes out of from the area, which is like probably 12 feet from me, maybe 6 feet, probably like 9 feet. Nah, probably like 10 or 12 feet. It was a safe distance. I mean, it seemed closer when it was just the bubbles, but when the being came out, it was like a squid. You know how they like move by moving like a blanket that you got something in the middle of it and you pull and it throws whatever up in the air. You know the movement of squids, I'm sure. Or a blanket blowing in the breeze from the center. So it was pink, and the four corners was a little rectangular. It looked a little bit like a magic carpet too, and a little bit like a squid. And the four corners were folding up, and that's like how it was like moving. You know, like pretend this is a rectangle. You know, the center's the most rearward point, and moving like that, right? So it's moving, and I notice it's kind of chasing the other guy down there with me. I assume it's a guy that's down there with me. Could have been a girl. I don't know. And I think my daughter was maybe up on the deck because I know she was there with me because I told her about the dream. Man, it had something to do with the Teutonic Knights. So today I did some research, just a little bit, into the Teutonic Knights, Teutonic. I'll probably spell it in the description. It would be false advertising because who knows what this video is really about, you know. But oh yeah, so this idea of everyone being, and I mean this to be scientifically accurate. And if, man, I wish I could communicate better with Facebook because I had this group called Skeletal Considerations and Manual Therapy, and goddamn, we were the best. I was one of the top 5 people in America. I do believe this is something many would agree on, or at least consider the possible merit of. I was top 5 in knowledge, and I healed some conditions that people say can't be healed. I healed. In massage therapy, you're not supposed to say you healed anything. You're supposed to say you allowed the body to do something. But I healed. I'm a healer. My partner in class had scoliosis, and before school I helped with her scoliosis, just sitting in the chair in front of me. And I could teach people, this is the weird thing, like I can teach people how to cure scoliosis. And I mean, she was in her early 20s, I think. At certain ages, the bones are not going to cooperate. The connective tissue, the ligaments, the muscles, the bones, everything is not going to cooperate with healing at some point. But at her age, it should have been impossible. She'd had that scoliosis for her whole life. And as soon as I healed it, she left the school. She transferred. Like, what are the chances? Think about this. What are the chances that, first of all, she was the one person that was like most directly on my level? You know, ADD, nice person. You know, what are the chances that she's my partner to begin with, and then I heal her scoliosis, and then she leaves the school? Like, I almost feel like the fact that I healed her, like, complicated her life, and, you know, the Vatican swooped in and did a bunch of testing on her, and, I mean, yeah, like, literally, in the circumstances of my life, that would not be surprising. I did a blessing on a friend, my friend Dave, in 2013 on his woman and his daughters in a hotel, and I noticed the room was different. Above the hotel room, there was clearly like a crawl space, the perfect place to set up cameras and ghost hunting devices. And his cousin was in the NSA, and his cousin was interested in me. And I really, for a lot of reasons, I believe fully that was, I don't want to say a setup, but man, if people are going to be studying me for like ever long, then they really should be paying me as well. Like, I can be selfless and kind and good, and the money's not going to taint me. You know, like, people are so, maybe they really think like, oh, if he has money, he won't be as holy. And it's like, come on, guys. I mean, why don't you just say you're jealous of me and it makes you feel like superior that you have money and I don't? Like, because that's like what you're really doing. Like, I respect you guys, but with my best view of reality this far into life, and the year that I just had, the 2 years, the 4 years, I believe this 100% to be true. And then I think that if anyone thought about it, they'd either be like, this dude doesn't know that he knows he's the AI, but he doesn't know that, like, he straight up lives in another world and we have no way to even get him money. That I would accept. That I keep open as an option, because otherwise I couldn't make an excuse for anyone to leave me poor. I couldn't accept that the only people I ever come in contact with, you know, are just getting by financially, but none of them can help me financially. I don't believe it, because the chances of that being true are next to nothing. They're about zero. So anyway, when I gave that blessing, I'm not saying he was using his family as a prop. I do feel like sometimes people just walk out of the matrix, like Facebook matrix. Maybe this is the top secret stuff I'm supposed to be doing disclosure of. And you notice the disclosure community and just about everyone seems to not hear me. It's strange. But when I did the blessing on his family, he expected me to go right over to them and like, I don't know, do it like a priest, I guess. Or I put my hand on their head and say, "Oh, my child, you are blessed and healed," or something. But I faced the fuck direction? North, I think, and they were to my right, which is east, and 6 feet away, and I just blessed the entire room, uh, the walls first, and then everything within the walls. But I got emails from him about one of the blessings I gave him, or an upgrade. An upgrade. How normal is that, right? An implant, which increases telepathy, changes the shape of his skull. Normal stuff, right? Yeah, the email exists. I was reading it to a friend one day, and it didn't disappear, but it did shut down. Oh, bad cramp. Crazy. Crazy, because I was watching a deadlift video, and I was thinking about the diaphragm, and how doing the exercise in the way that they were talking about would, in my opinion, likely cause muscle spasm right there, and I just had one right there. So I guess maybe I'm introducing the concept of my abilities. See, I talk about myself a lot, but I don't talk about healing people. I don't talk about giving people implants. I don't talk about summoning UFOs. But something else has been on my mind a bit, and that's like when I first started talking about the astral realm and stuff like that, I mean, let's be real, I'm a whirlwind, like, I'm a non-human, not fully human anyway. I think I at least look human most of the time, yeah. And I want to be attractive too. I'm like half single. I want to get this beard under control. I want someone to like love me up a little bit. I have feelings too. I'm over it. So, when I first started going, and I mean, me and astral travel go back 20. I like to be as exact as possible. Otherwise, you get, if you're sloppy, you just get sloppier. 18 years. 18 years now of astral travel knowledge, which I immediately excelled at extremely well. But I didn't go public about any of it or any work that I do in astral until when? About 2 years ago, I think. It could have been 10. And this debate I had called Magic Man versus the Science Guy, or Magic Man and the Science Guy. Of course, I was Magic Man, but I probably knew more science than the Science Guy. And he wanted to have a show with me where he got the lion's share of the profits, even though I was the draw. And then he was hitting on some chick, and she complained. And, he was like, "Oh, I'm leaving Facebook now." Probably somebody was like, probably somebody with a friggin' badge was like, "Do you know who you're talking to?" And he was like, yeah, John, you're an idiot. And they were like, no, John, you know, NASA, you know, NSA, Vatican. If I still live in the 3D world, then that happens a lot. And it sucks because I don't know if I'm famous or how well known I am. When Donald Trump talks about the one who lives amongst us, he's talking about me. It was when he was talking about UFOs on the news. So when the QAnons are like, why is he important? And, about me, and I'm like, well, it's actually really long stories, and if I tell you the stories, it sounds like bragging. But the movie Inception comes to mind because I saw a segment of it in a documentary yesterday, and because it's like kind of like roaming in the mind of God, where God sees all. So just be aware of that. And I had like a problem with China, a medium-sized problem with China. When I was putting the goddess back together, oops. But the astral realm was militarized. Either that or I literally, went to China and saw, the helicopters and the military, and there was a war, like fighting, like straight up war zone in China. I don't know where, somewhere in China, in the streets, city, tall buildings. And I had a hard time leaving there. Like they had some kind of, I mean, China, I like in a way because of the MK Ultra. People are like, what? Why would you like? Because MK Ultra. Well, I am MK Ultra. I survived. I don't want people to go through it. There's better ways to bring out the gifts in people that people have, the God-given abilities. And, I asked to be let off my chain so I can fight or lead the army, basically. I want to lead my army. I want to give instructions. But the agency the kids like myself and many others, a lot of us turn out okay. Most of us are damaged. A lot of us died. As a result of the experiments that were done on us. Thank Emily Rose. Watch some YouTube documentaries about Emily Rose. And the truth about space and NASA and the nature of the world will eventually take shape. But don't think on it too long. Don't get stuck in the dark. And if you do get stuck in the dark, call me. Yes, call, say Johnny. Or Ameru. Or Ameru. Johnny Ameru-Ryen. That's how you say my name. Johnny Ameru-Ryen. If you get stuck in the darkness, call me. And if people are giving you a hard time, and you're my friend, and if you're my friends, then say you're my friend. If you bring me into a conversation, powerful people, they're going to be powerful eyes on that conversation. So if you need our help, you need my help. I'm saying that's a way to do it online. Um, but I'm talking about telepathy, really. But so the astral body, the ephemeral body, the spiritual body, basically the soul. I say that everything is a handshake and has to be consensual, and that if it's not consensual, then it really can't even happen in these realms that I worked. I worked hard on. I'm proud to say I worked hard in these realms. Uh, in 2018, January, February, March, around there, a few months. What does that mean? 12 hours a day, 8 to 12 maybe, most days. I'm not trying to oversell my efforts by any means. Organizing the dimensions, talking to the beings in the various realms and dimensions. Tesla said the world is a realm, which means that there's realms. So that's where I was working. So, anyway, my friend, I'm not going to use I'm trying to not use the word goddess, my friend. When I say my friend, when I say my friend taught me to drink, you know, like a vampire, at a great distance, which is in the astral realm. And I had other friends that taught me other things. Other friend. Some of my friend have also been lovers, but friend. I've identified what friend means. But what I did for everyone, all the women, and I feel like I have to do it again because a friend of mine's having her daughter's having a struggle, and it seems unrelated, but there's only so much we can do, no matter how much we love someone, or there's only so much we can do, especially if I'm working in like a spiritual capacity and she's in the physical world, which is a bit different. But what I did was I put a protection around all the women. Just, an orb. Look up the cosmic egg or a double torus biosphere. And that, I'm not going to get into the details of how I do what I do or what it's made out of. But I put protection around all women to keep them safe in the realms. Interesting this. I mentioned, that I fought monsters and that I've definitely become very promiscuous in astral, and that's carrying over to the real world, and we're beginning to, and that's a good thing. sometimes it, you know, yeah, it's a good thing. I really love sex, and there's too much pain in the world, and sex is and orgasms. It's not just the receiving and the having. It's the giving of the pleasure and the love at the same time. Like sex energy should be infused with love. And you can't infuse it with love if there's not love. And the more I talked about the, vampirism and the astral realm, the more, daggers and darts were thrown at me. And the more people were talking about me and the less to me. And it was just kind of sad to miss your friends. As everyone knows. But what I did was I put a orb around every female, and then a secondary orb around the root and sacral chakra, which is essentially the sexual and reproduction region. And it didn't, it gave them the ability to choose what they want to feel, what they want to be aware of. Love and lust and sex and whatever else goes along with those. Those words aren't only for men. They're historic. There was historically some queen who was like just insatiable. She just could screw tons of dudes and not be satiated. And I don't know if part of it was just that she had a high tolerance for boredom, or maybe she really enjoyed it that much, but maybe she just liked making men feel inadequate, because the guy gives all he has. And, she's like, oh, I must go get satisfied, and he's like, wait, and he calls in his friends, and she's like, oh, okay, well, thank you, that was nice. And they're like, what, that wasn't good enough? I'm not good enough for you? And she's like, well, I just, this is how I roll. She kind of stands out. I wish I could remember her name. I doubt I could even find it again. It would be difficult, but it was in Rome. So I think by searching Rome and powerful woman with those kind of search words, you could probably find her. But I put that second orb so that they could block out what they don't want to hear, what they don't want to feel, what they don't want to have in their world. And I don't know, I'm torn on the intricacies. Let me see. Should I explain more of the intricacies of how that worked? Yeah? So I gave the power to the moms, because the moms protective sphere. We gotta come up with a better word for that. The Ameru matrix. The Ameru matrix around the mom. The one that pertains to sensuality and sexuality. The moms got to know at what age their daughters were ready for like more, you know? Or I figured, and I can't remember, and I did something for the dads and the sons too. I just can't remember what, and it wasn't as widely used, but the idea was that it could block what was unwanted, but also like the show Altered Carbon. If I can give implants, then why wouldn't I want to alter carbon so women could enjoy sex more? There's not enough sex happening in the world, and if we can make it more enjoyable for people, hopefully they'll have more of it. So if anyone was unaware, now they're aware. So the connection between a mom and a daughter is something I've never experienced in this life, so I can only observe and go off what I feel and what they let me know and see and feel and understand. You feel that quiet, kind of, there's a little bit of darkness. How do we move the mind away from that darkness? I see one of my lady friend guides, Somerset Belanoff, actually. I guess she liked what I said yesterday. I can't remember. It's nice to hear, though. So, my body's really sensitive, and it makes me very vulnerable sometimes. Like today, like it wasn't a world of hurt. I mean, it was really bad, and I was just thinking, please just let the people in my immediate proximity understand that I'm in a world of hurt right now from overtraining. Well, when I teach people, I tell them to trust their instincts. And I still say judge a book by its cover. The number one thing you can do for your family, for your safety, is to judge a book by its cover. To judge people by their appearances, by who they're around. And you can do the same with me if you don't think I'm lazy and slothy. I'm not saying you do think that, but just I think it's important. They say opposites attract, but that's like saying good attracts evil. And we ain't having that, you know. We've been lied to long enough. Like attracts like, you know. Remember it, believe it, and I'm interested to see what kind of people I'll attract as I become more like who I am, because I believe as we get older, we don't change, we become more like who we are. That quote is mine, and nobody seems to use it or understand why I think it's important. You don't change as you get older, you become more like who you are. And the whole concept of life is a school, and, you know, it's a game, and there's all these sayings, and in different ways at different times, most of them are true. I just want to fall in love with life again, with living. And I do believe in a physical body. That even, I believe in eternal life. I think the show Altered Carbon used some of my quotes, which are pretty unique, which is fine. A lot of it, actually. And Peaky Blinders and some other shows. I can't remember. The idea of the baggage of lives, you know, like the thing about dying and reincarnating is you usually lose most of that baggage. When you incarnate, you know, most of it usually. But what if we're able to truly upload and download all that makes us who we are into something digital or analog, but digital, digitize it. Oh, that's what this video is about. Increasingly, we're going to see that humanity is frequency, digital. Oh, so manual therapy I was talking about earlier. There was a reason for that. Just that relates to the topic at hand. So, your hormones are electrical impulses. Understand this concept. Understand it, understand it, understand it. They're information. They're probably even binary at some level, but binary and electric, right? Strange, different dimensions, different ways of looking at it and understanding it. So, a body can change shape, not just in terms of shape shifting, but grow. You know, you exercise, you'll get bigger muscles, you know. You do sprints, you'll lose fat. So, and neuroplasticity is the ability to rewire, the ability for the brain to rewire its own like if there's an injury or a trauma that causes the mind to reject going to certain topics or certain periods of time, that's a detriment to your whole memory, the whole circuit board of the mind. So the mind has to creatively reroute the messages, and that's called neuroplasticity. And they have body armor in the military now, which does this same thing. Some very impressive high-tech body armor. You can look it up on YouTube. You'll see what I'm talking about. The different fabrics involved. They're very intelligent, and they're not. It's like technology that's not even metal. It's like fabric. So it's very, very, very interesting and very cool. I just heard a little pop there about 15 seconds ago. I don't know if you heard it. Well, I feel like I've given a lot of information here. And there was a good amount of energy put into building the Weidenclef Tower that Tesla made. A good amount of energy and money, but the technology has been around a long time. But God bless Tesla for bringing it someplace that the mainstream world could look at it. I mean, when you look back at Tesla, how do you feel when you think of Tesla? Then you look back at Thomas Edison, who was rich in his time. Look at J.P. Morgan. How do you feel about them? I don't know how you feel about them. How do you feel about them? Another thing about Tesla again. How do you feel about him? I don't know. I know how I feel about them all. And the energy I get from them. So I can't remember what I was going to say after that about the Tesla attack. I think my friend is wanting me to wrap up this video. So, I know. I'm clever. It's terrible. It's not even intentional. But I think it's really important that males and females are having healthy sex lives. I had a girlfriend who didn't start having any sex till she was like 20 something. And of course she dove, I don't know why she waited till then, but she did. And then she was like, no, nympho, making up for lost time. Same as I am. My MK Ultra royal blood, Hybrinoid status always had me being, like my orgasms were just important, I don't know why. Like, they didn't want me to reproduce too much, but I was told that I will be reproducing a lot soon. And I love sex. You know, it's like a newfound love in the last couple of years too. Connecting. The more you know yourself, and the more you know what it is to love and be loved, the more you want that which is of the greatest value to you, whatever it is. For some people, it's gold. For me, it's love, but I understand that the world runs on money, and I need to start prioritizing that as well. But I just want women to know that if they have good hearts, even at times, nobody needs to have a good heart all the time. A good heart as far as loving and affection. Then, like, if they want to, have sexual interaction with me, then like in person, then I'd probably, chances are pretty good, I'd be like, yeah. And men do need to be more assertive. Our society did a number on all of us. We really did. We're all healing from the, forget, the fake news, the fake commercials, the psychology that was employed on us, all of it. Plus our use of the internet has changed humanity a good bit too. So we're all healing and growing together, but be safe and be smart, and you're gonna have a partner and you want them to get tested for STDs, then do that. When I say judge a book by its cover, I try to remind people as gently as possible that if you're in an interracial relationship, like you're white and your boyfriend or girlfriend or someone that you're thinking of having a relationship with is African American and you're white, you're 17 times more likely to be murdered if you guys were to get married, whether you're the male or the female. You're 17 times more likely to be murdered by your mate. You're more likely to be abused. You're more likely to be depressed and unhappy and unfulfilled in your relationship. You're more likely to get STDs. I had a family member who had a relationship with a Dominican, and I know the future sometimes. It's a thing. And I said, you're gonna get an STD and not be able to have children. And I was right. That's what happened. It wasn't because I said so. It was because that's what was going to happen, and I knew the future. I didn't think about that. It just was true. And I speak the truth. So, your racial identity is important now. If you follow my stuff, you're probably, Caucasian, European. But whoever you are, Stick with your own, and you'll be safest that way. Love you.